Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. And today, we're going to be doing something quite interesting, because today I'm going to be adding to my portfolio. I think that while you're building your portfolio, it's good to have a good project that's backing you up, creating all this art for you to put into your portfolio, and that's what this is going to be today. I'm going to be creating a character sheet, and by proxy, I'm going to be making character sheets for all 5 of the main characters. This is going to have things like expressions, different outfits, well, not different outfits, but like there's only like 2 outfits here, but like different views of how she looks and a show of her character, and it's going to be quite fun. This is just going to be a big sheet that is all about her, and meanwhile I'm going to show you what my mindset is going throughout this entire drawing process, as well as some info about the character as we go along. So stay tuned and roll the intro, I guess. This is Freya Skarsen. I've drawn her a couple of times now, but they've all been completely different, you know, versions of her, like slightly different variants of her, but she has been mostly kept the same in terms of character and look, kind of. But today we're going to be setting in stone a full character design in what she's going to be wearing throughout the story that I'm crafting for her and her group. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, when I first started constructing the sheet, I did not know exactly what direction I wanted to take it. I knew I wanted expressions, that was the first thing. I knew I wanted just a good old-fashioned just pose to just show off the character in a decent way, maybe with a back shot as well, but I didn't know exactly what to put on the page. But as I was making this mannequin, I thought it would be a good idea to include like an alternate outfit for her. So that alternate outfit being an outfit that I've drawn for her many times in different illustrations. So this is her Leonin gear. This is the gear that she wore as a commander in the military during the war. This armor doesn't really have much of anything interesting going on with it. It's mainly your generic sort of silver and blue armor. I didn't want this to be her main character design because it felt too generic for just having armor on a character. No, I didn't want to do that, but I did like the idea of her having a separate outfit that she can always go back to, and this is the outfit that she starts out in before she changes her outfit permanently for the entire story. There is one element of this armor that I actually quite like a lot, and that is her helmet. It is obviously modeled after a lion, and the sort of hair that you see is just sort of like plumage that they put on the back of the helmet to imitate a lion's mane. That is probably my favorite part, because it takes a standard looking set of armor and actually turns it into something more original. So Freya was born on the continent of Zerethos, and she was born to a family that dedicated their lives to helping people. They would travel from town to town trying to help people in the war-torn country of Kaldstern. Considering that they were in a pretty violent civil war at the time, a lot of people were affected, and so they, throughout her sort of toddler years, they went from place to place helping people. And Freya learned from an early age that she admired the actions of her parents and wanted to follow that sort of same trajectory in her life. She learned that if you have the power to help someone, then it is your obligation to provide that help. Well, before Freya even reached the age of 5, they decided to settle down. Considering tensions in the war were starting to slow, they decided to keep to one single city that they lived in, or I guess town. It wasn't really much of a city, but they shared resources, they shared anything that they needed with each other. It was a really nicely tight-knit community, and this would last up until Freya is about 7 or 8, where disaster actually struck. A miscalculation from a watchtower guard caused them to have a mishap with an alien encounter. And if you remember my introduction to Roarix video, you would know what the alien is. Needless to say, it was quite traumatizing for young 8-year-old Freya. This is a moment in her life that she always refers back to when it comes to her own self-doubts and internal conflicts in the future. It plays a pivotal role in who she is today, and she feels that because she wasn't powerful enough to help the people that she so cared about back then, she spends it and uses her time now to help people who can't help themselves. But I think we've had enough time to talk about her backstory. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the drawing here that is taking place in front of your eye holes. So using that same base that I used when I was constructing the armor, I'm making her actual character design. This will be the design that she has throughout the entire story that I'm writing. So I ultimately had the idea of surrounding the entire body in armor, and the centers of the body are more padded and cloth-like. As you can see, the boots and the gloves that she have on, as well as the pauldrons and the neck guard, that is like surrounding the outside of her body with metal. And then you get to her legs and her biceps area, where you have this padded gambeson, which is a brownish color, desaturated, and then as you get to the middle of the body, the center of mass, it is more colorful with the golden trim and the bright blue there. And this is the same sort of color scheme that she had when she wore the armor there. She usually has two hairstyles, one where she lets her hair down and it's about like bottom of neck length, and her ponytail, whenever she needs to put on her helmet or if she needs to protect her face, she usually puts her hair up in a ponytail, I guess, yeah. Not to mention that this look is based on Tenshi's new look. I'll put a picture of like that on the screen of what his look is going to be more like. I designed Tenshi's look a while ago, and I wanted to have this be a sort of spin on what I did for him, because these two characters, Tenshi and Freya, are more intertwined with each other than the rest of the party, and hence why that these two are the main characters, whereas the other three are like side characters, but we're gonna get to them into different episodes. So her combat ability is quite formidable because she was trained by a multitude of different people. She got the bulk of her training from Ojishi, the guy who trained Tenshi as well, and is also regarded as Tenshi's father. Her father taught her how to even use a sword in her early years before they were attacked after that, whole war situation back home. She also got a good amount of training from being drafted in the Leonin military, which is where she got that same armor set from. Yeah, she was drafted in the military at the age of 18, and she's quite, good at it, considering she ascended the ranks so fast, but that was mainly due to Ojishi's training. Without Ojishi's training, she would not be as good as she is now. Alright, now moving to these expressions, I gotta say, this was probably the hardest ones. You're gonna see some ugly looking abominations as I draw these, but I had 6 main ones in mind that can sort of match up to her character, but I ultimately decided on just 5 of them. But these expressions were so hard, man. I was looking at expression sheets, real life expressions. I was sweating, to say the least. This probably took more than the entire rest of the sheet did when it comes to like concepting and drafting all of this. It was difficult. It was a fucking slog to get through, but I feel like I did learn a lot with these. So I hope that they read as what they should without the words, but you guys will have to be the judge of that when I show you the full like sheet when it's completed. Plus, you know I gotta get some fan service in there somehow. Much like any sort of RPG character sheet, you gotta have a weapon on hand. And this weapon is a one that I constructed pretty quickly. I had an idea of what I wanted, but this is... it's simple enough to work and to be drawn in many different angles and such. But it's also has a nice design and a decent silhouette for what I wanted. I originally probably was going to think of like a sun shape in the center of the hilt, but I ultimately just decided on having the lion there. So, yeah, it doesn't make for an interesting shape in terms of silhouette, but it is interesting in terms of design in general. So, I hope that oh god, I hope that at least can, you know, make up for it. So this element that I'm crafting here is more of an optional one, though I think if you add it, this can be so beneficial for the sheet. It's not just showing off your technical drawings, because this drawing here is probably the worst drawing that is on this sheet, but I swear it adds so much character and it adds so much personality to your sheet and really make your character feel like it's real, like they're a real person. Show off. Like, show them off. Show off your character's actual character. You know, there's a reason why they're called characters. I said character way too much in that entire thing. Obviously, she's holding out her hand to this child, but it's a perfect representation of who she is. Because I mentioned that her entire life, she's dedicated her life to helping others in need. And there's this crying child, and she's just holding out her hand, telling her it's okay, and it's really warm. It's really warm. Hi, did you enjoy that? I hope you did, because it's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this more productive video. I used this as a opportunity to make a character sheet for this character because for the longest time, like I said, I did not have the design set in stone yet, and honestly, the design that I had in my head wasn't even the main design. Who would have thought? So doing this and tying it to a YouTube video is actually quite genius. I don't know why I didn't do that before. Who would have thought? This is gonna definitely be something that I do for all 5 of my characters, so stay tuned for the next one. If you enjoyed this video, go on, leave me some interactions. That would be appreciated. Likes, comments, subscriptions. Do whatever makes you feel happy. If you like the video, like it. If you dislike the video, dislike it. Even leave me a fat fuck you Tenshi in the comments, because nothing says I loved your videos more than a big, juicy, delicious fuck you. And while you're down there giving me interactions like the slaves you are, if you want more information about Roarix, feel free to watch the introduction to Roarix video I made not too long ago. It's actually quite interesting. It shows everything that you need to know about this video, or at least the basis of everything that you have in this video. You don't need to watch that one, but I would appreciate it.